Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Video Killed the Podcast. I'm Jacqueline Cathell, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my two co hosts, Dylan and Jalen. I'm currently with Nova as a cinema student looking to become a cinematographer. Tonight, we'll be talking about digital media and the film industry. Let's hear from our co hosts. Please introduce yourselves.
Would you like to go first, or should I?
I'm okay with going first. Hi, I'm Jalen Chin, and I'm also looking to become a cinematographer. I study at Nova, and I am the co-host for this topic.
My turn. Hi, I'm Dylan, everyone. I'm a current Nova student, hoping to become an editor in the future. And I am also the co-host for this podcast. Thank you for joining us.
It's so nice to hear from you both. Let's get into it. So digital media is relatively new and refers to most recording mediums, including motion pictures. When we say we're going to film or video something, most of the time we're using a digital device for recording. Film and video have long been one of the most widely used forms of digital media. The film industry uses the most advanced technologies in the world, like digital editing, CGI, and virtual reality, to deliver some of the most interesting experiences in the entertainment world. Does anybody want to add to that?
So there are definitely some digital medias that have added on towards these films. For example, social media, and there are many films that are revolved around social media as the premise. Say, for example, Social Dilemma in 2020, which is a documentary about interviews, people who invented algorithms, and Love Guaranteed, which is also a romantic comedy showing the social network and finding love through social media.
Do you have a, by chance, favorite person for social media to go to for movies?
Not exactly. I'm not exactly a fan of social media movies, but I can see that they do have an audience, as there are a lot of them coming up.
That is true.
That
But I
is
was
true.
asking more to I know some people have what they consider a movie guy. Do you have someone that you go to? I know for me, I watch a lot of Marvel movies, so I always go to this one channel on YouTube and watch Easter eggs or breakdown, and they talk about the comic book aspect of it, but they also talk about the film aspect of it too. And they talk about how different camera angles could add to and take away from the scene. I was just curious if you had a social media influencer that you frequent a lot for movies.
Well, I do watch a lot from, I think, Screen Rant.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I do watch a lot of his YouTube videos, and he does impact a lot of my viewing because he does review some of the films, and they do explain a bit more into depth about what the filmmaking process, like how it could have been better or something like that, or it could have had
The why
yeah
of the scene or
the
whatever.
vibe of the scene, and could have increased it in any way.
Use of ratios, camera lens, crops the shot. Stuff is really interesting to watch. Listen to other people talk about sometimes.
For sure.
Absolutely. I remember, I can't remember if you guys know the movie or if we talked about this before, but there's this movie, I can't remember the title of it. It's driving me nuts that I can't think of it now, of course. I'm blanking. But the movie where um they're all on this group. It's almost like this. It's almost like Zoom, but it's like a big Skype or whatever. I guess they used it for the movie, and it's like a really low budget film, and they made it. It was like 8 teenagers, and they were all just like, "Oh, we can make a movie from home." And it was like during the COVID pandemic and all that was happening, and they were all sitting at home, and they were like all talking to each other, and then they watched some crazy video, and then they all started dying off. I don't know if either one of you guys remember that one.
House of Four.
No, I don't think that's what it was. It was like iFriends or iMovie or something like that.
Oh, I think I know what
Um,
you're talking about. I do remember seeing trailers of it, but I did not go out of my way to watch it, honestly.
okay.
I think it was revolved around like them being on Skype and then
Yeah,
or
yeah.
was that the one?
Yeah, there's like some girl was like with the main character, and she and all of her friends like watched this video, and it was like, you watch this video, it was kind of like the concept of the ring. Like if you watch this video, you'll die in 7 days or whatever. Um, but it had basically what I'm getting at is that it was all marketed through social media. So this entire film started with film students, and it was completely marketed through like Facebook and stuff like that. And that's how they ended up making it. And they made it, I think they had like a super low budget. It was like a $5,000 budget that they had. And they all like raised the money themselves and did this film. And I think it was pretty incredible. I really wish I could remember the name of it. I probably should have looked it up. I remembered it and then I forgot it.
I think I've
But
seen trailers for what you're talking about.
exactly, that's my point. They marketed it all on social media so much that everybody kind of knows what it is. But oh gosh, I wish I could remember the name of that movie. I watched it like not too long ago either.
It was like
Um,
mid-COVID, wasn't it, or near the beginning
it
of it?
was, yeah, it was like during the pandemic, and they all made this film together. I thought it was so cool. Um, and it ended up getting like pretty great reviews. Like it was they ended up winning an award for like one of the first at-home movies or something, or one of the best at-home movies. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Hmm.
Is it called Host? Because I think I just found it. Maybe
Mm,
6 friends hire a medium to hold a seance via Zoom during a lockdown, but they get far more than they bargained for as things quickly go wrong when evil spirits start invading their home.
let me see how long
December
that is.
4th, 2020.
Of course, it gives me the definition. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
definitely
That's
see it
it.
being that.
It was Host.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay, we found it.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
all done. Yeah, video call on Zoom, and it was computer web screens, web. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. Web screens, and they just all made it from home. Like they literally did a pandemic movie. I thought it was pretty cool.
that's pretty like ingenious and like smart use of their time.
That's what I was saying. I was like, that's pretty crazy that they were able to do that all from their home, and they had like the super low budget. But
And that
Yeah.
was December 4th. I saw the release date as, which means that's 2020. So that's like still
yeah,
not even a full year into the pandemic quite yet.
almost. But yeah, yeah,
Everyone started like whatever, realizing that we weren't going to be out of lockdown for at least probably another year.
right.
Um, Now that you mentioned about marketing and stuff about through social media and like showing it through widespread, that does remind me of the marketing that they had for Spider-Man No Way Home, which they didn't really do it themselves, but of course it was through the leaks and of that all the Spider-Man were coming from the past and etc. and just coming together for this solo film for Tom Holland and showing up yet again. And it really shows the impact that social media has on the film industry, especially with advertising, uh, with social media stars or personalities. Say, for example, the YouTube channels, of course, like Screen Rant, like we mentioned earlier, like they could give more publicity. So, I mean, they could review the movie bad or good, and then people will go out to watch it because they heard a YouTuber that they like to watch like that movie.
Yeah, it's definitely caused more influences and to where people decide if they like the movie or not, or if they're even going to go see the movie or not.
Mhm.
It's not
Right.
just like reviews from Rotten Tomatoes. It's, does my favorite person on the internet watch it, and am I going to watch it because of them or not?
Oh yeah,
I
for
know.
sure. I mean, the digital marketing in the film industry has become extremely effective. It gets the audience involved in more of a personal relationship with them because it's like it's right in front of them. But you think about it, it goes on beyond today's promotions. Have They used to just be trailers in the movie theater, and that's how you figure out what the next movie was going to be. And now it's like, oh, do you want to go see this movie? Yeah, how do you know about it? Facebook.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, where they have those skits or the actors on there, Snapchat, Facebook, everything. Everything has ads nowadays too.
I think it's funny because I was watching a show the other day and I thought it had been like longer than it had. I thought it came out like way before it did, but some of like the dating apps online, they mention them in Netflix series now. There's like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna meet up with this guy online on whatever, app they're
Isn't
talking about. But I was like, has that been a long has that app been around for that long? And I'm like, am I just old or is it just having a bigger influence than I thought it does? And it does. It has a huge influence on like other things and Netflix trying to like promote other apps and they get paid to do that. But
so two things with your statement. One, that's the entirety of COVID for me. I don't remember anything. Everything I was like, oh, I thought this came out before COVID. Nope. Middle of COVID, everything is weird. My timeline is off. I have horrible memory.
oh my
Mm,
Um,
gosh, yeah.
I
yeah, I'm
get
like,
that.
I play this game and I'm like, I thought this game came out before COVID. And I look at the release date, I'm like, nope, late 2020. I would have been locked at home then. How do I not remember this? It's COVID is just a huge blank for me.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then for my second statement, isn't that crazy that things that we grew up with or when they came out we were alive are now in movies for like that taking place older but like still in our lifetime?
Oh, absolutely.
It blows my mind. I don't feel old. I swear, I'm only
You should
22.
we're
I'm young.
all college kids, but then, I feel like I'm 40 and I'm like, when did this happen exactly?
Yeah, my brother's still in high school and I went to pick him up one day and I'm looking at all of these like high school students and I'm like, wasn't I just there? How can
Yeah.
it
Right.
change so much? But it does so fast. That's so weird.
Yeah, I think COVID definitely was a blank slate for a lot of us, and created a rift basically in our timelines because we don't exactly remember it happening because we were stuck at home for so long.
Yeah, any future film students watching this, 'cause I don't know when Professor Stallings going to show it to them, either fresh new ones or near the end of their career. Uh, cherish the fact that you aren't online for some of these classes.
Well, something about that though is that I've been reading a lot of articles about people getting worse social anxiety and that it's like they don't want to go back to in person because they're too scared to go back in person. And I was like, I can actually relate to that because a lot of this semester has been like we have been going back a little bit. So half of my classes were in person, half of them were online. But when I went back in person, I was shocked. Everybody was just so like uncomfortable. Nobody wanted to talk to anybody. Everybody had masks on. And throughout the semester, I mean, people definitely warmed up to other people and I've made a few friends along the way, but it was like, oh my gosh, it's a different world being in person versus having all your classes online.
And the craziest thing is when you're back, you see people that you've
Had
seen over the
classes with,
camera.
right.
Yeah, but you don't know them because you've just seen their face. You haven't had that interaction. On
Some of
Zoom,
them,
it's literally just teacher and 20 students instead of a
right,
bunch
some
of
of them you don't
people.
even see a face. Some of them you're just like, I recognize that name.
Yeah.
What?
Or that one person you might have had in the class before COVID hit, and you're like, I think I had a class with you like 2 years ago. I don't know how I
Right.
remember you.
It just goes to show like the digital world is completely influential over like not only film but just in general.
It's become a
But
huge part of it, and COVID didn't help with that.
oh no,
Movie
not at all.
theaters. I used to work in the movie theater, and they were like not slowly going out of business, but things were changing, right? With streaming services. COVID hit,
Mhm.
and now streaming services are just dominating.
Um, so yeah, so back to digital media and everything. Um, Crap, what did you just say? Like totally sparked what I was gonna say next, and then I completely just blanked.
I can just discuss about how social media stars that have been popular throughout these few years have um kind of like wheedled their way into the film industry. Say for example, Pokimane or Ninja were in Free Guy. the film that was directed by Ryan Reynolds. He was also starred in it. Or
Did
I
he
don't
direct it?
I don't remember if he directed it, honestly, but yes, he was in the film. Of course, he was both protagonist and kind of an antagonist at the end. Um, but that goes to show how impactful I would say social media stars have been towards films, because I know definitely I did not know about the movie and the film until I started my phone started blowing up, or through Twitter, like it would show that, oh yeah, Pokemon's in this film, Ninja's in this film, blah blah blah. Because there, until that, I didn't even know the movie exists, honestly.
The funniest thing about that is that it's more or less on the same topic of what we're talking about, because the film is about just virtual reality and social
Mhm.
media and everything.
Mhm.
Um, and they play themselves.
Yeah.
I have the director pulled up, by the way. Sean Levy is his name. He
Oh,
directed the
okay.
movie
Yeah.
Free Guy. Um, if you haven't seen Free Guy, I suggest it. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it.
I worked while that movie was out, so I only saw bits and parts of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing. But it looked really good, and every like almost every little like kid that walked out was like happy crying to it. So I was like, it must be good.
Ah, kids, the bane of movie theaters, but they're just so cute. They leave a mess everywhere.
Oh my God. No, they totally do. The
Triggering
popcorn and
flashbacks.
the thrown candy. There was, oh my God, the amount of M&Ms and popcorn underneath the seats at the end of the night was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And a good thing about the movie, like the actual talking about our old jobs, is that like it is a declining industry. Like when you think about it, I had one of my film teachers even ask me, do you care if your movie makes it to the big screen in a theater or just goes to Netflix or some other streaming service because everything's online now? And I was
Ooh,
like,
that's a
that's a
tough question.
yeah, I was like, that's a great question because honestly, I don't know. I would love to see, realistically, I would love to see my movie, my film come up in the theaters, have a premiere, go to the premiere, like see through it all and watch my audience's reactions. But at
Yeah,
the
at
same
least
time,
once.
yeah, exactly, right? But it's like at the same time, it's like, is it a better marketing situation for me? Would I profit more by not putting it in theaters altogether? And it's like, do I want to go where I think I'm gonna get a reaction, or am I gonna want to go where I'm gonna get the money from to make another film?
I'll see if I can answer that question personally. I think personally, I at least want one big budget movie to go to theaters. Um, to see the audience reaction, but also for a selfish reason, I want to see my name in the credits on the big screen.
That's fair.
I can see it on the small screen, it's nice, but I want to be in a movie theater watching it, and when everyone else leaves, whether there's an end credit scene or not, I want to be able to see my name, and if I'm there with someone, be like, hey, I'm right there. I'm on the big screen. Not in it, but I was there.
Right, right.
That's like one of my personal goals. Um, but streaming service is also super popular.
Right, exactly. And that's something too, is that if enough people watch it on a streaming service, like just Netflix as an example, if you put a movie on Netflix and enough people watch it or whatever, it will end up on social media. I mean, I've seen people record things like with their phone or whatnot of their TV and put it on there, and they're just like, "Oh my God, what show is this? I want to watch this. This looks so good. What are you talking about?" It's all in the comments, and it's like, is that worth it? Like, because it seems like it's worth it if it's going through social media and other people are talking about it. It's being talked about, which means it's being watched.
Kind of reminds me of that one movie that came out that had Matt Damon and Kylo Ren. What's his actor's name?
You're blanking on your
Adam
movie
Driver.
now.
Adam Driver. They
Yeah.
had a movie that came out, and the director was upset. I don't remember the name of it, but the director was upset because not a lot of people came to see his movie because it was going to be one of those Oscar worthy movies kind of thing, right? The
Right.
Last Duel.
Yeah.
The director was upset because no one came to see it. One, it's a history movie. Two, people, if they're going to come to the movie theater, especially during COVID, are going to be super picky on what they're going to watch. Because one, they're risking going out. Two, they're risking their money. So why not
Right.
go see something you know you're going to like? But yeah, he was very upset about it because
Well,
it wasn't Oscar worthy because no one came to see it.
they also had that giant lawsuit with Black Widow and Scarlett Johansson over the fact that it was being streamed.
I
too
forgot
early.
about that.
Yeah, she didn't want it to be streamed. It was supposed to be theaters only, and that's why No Way Home was, I feel like, got more attention and stuff like that, the Spider-Man one, because they stopped putting Marvel movies on streaming services. It's strictly you have to come to the theater to watch it.
Yeah, they definitely learned their lesson from that
Oh,
one.
for sure. But I thought that was crazy because it's like, oh, you know what, Jalen, you didn't get a chance to answer that question. Would you prefer your movie to be on the big screen, or do you care if it's just a service? I mean, a streaming service.
Um, I would say the approach of it being shared would be my personal option, because I would rather people hear about it than seeing it on the big screen. I don't really personally like. I understand from your point of view, Dylan, that you want to see your name on a big screen and everything. But like, I kind of feel like kind of nervous about that, in my honest opinion. So I think it's just it being shared, and like me creating a film that like everybody knows, that I at least feel something about that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Sure.
My biggest thing with that streaming services for like my name or whatever is they
Mhm.
always cut the credits off for like the next episode or next movie 5 seconds. You never get to read the full credits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I want at least one movie on the big screen. It doesn't have to be a really popular one, but at least I'll know it's there.
I feel like maybe if like they got so what I'm trying to say here, I feel like each movie gets its own sort of, quote unquote 15 minutes of fame. And you have, by that I mean approximately like a month for your movie to be popular until people stop talking about it, realistically, or it will get brought back up in another time.
I personally actually think it's more like 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, if it's not super, super popular, it's going to be dropped pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's like a very short period. That's why I said you got like 15 minutes of fame, 15 days even, like that's almost 2 weeks. But you have a very short amount of time to capture the attention of the audience that you want, any audience at that point, because it's like, what are you going to do otherwise? And if you don't get it in that time, so it's like, what if you put it in theaters for a week, and then a week after that you put it on a streaming service? Do you think that would affect like the chances of you, if I put it on my streaming service for the 2 weeks instead of putting it in theaters, would it make a difference? I'm kind of like interested in the statistics of it all.
Kind of a good question all around.
Right.
I still think this was my answer. I at least want one movie on the big screen, and then everything else can go to social media. Or not social media. Everything else can
Basically.
go to like streaming services.
Right.
But quick question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jalen.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, I think another instance of social media's impact on the film industry was also with the Sonic movie. Also with
yeah.
the CGI change with Sonic as the protagonist. Because they didn't like how they look, so like Twitter was like, everybody hated it, obviously, because it looked too weird to say.
Yeah, it was uncanny valley.
Yeah,
bad.
It felt very cursed to say. And so they changed his look and everything. So it took like was it a few more months, or was it like another year?
Oh, it took almost a whole other year.
Yeah.
Which I feel like Sonic's a cautionary tale. We have a platform, we talk on the platform, but just because we could talk on it doesn't mean we're going to get our way.
Yeah.
Sonic is definitely a once in a blue moon thing. It was a good choice. Sure. I love the Sonic movie. It was really good. And the change was really good as well. It's just can't expect that for every movie that we just don't like.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I just feel like that is a good example of like the digital media's impact towards film at times. It can a very small chance, but it can change the course in which the film will be like at the end of by the time it's produced and sent out to the theaters.
I have another question, since we were talking about streaming services and social media. From personal experience, I feel like movies get a lot of fame, right? They get their 15 days or whatever. What about series? Would you rather do a TV show on a streaming service or a movie?
Well, in my personal experience, I almost think that the series is very similar to the movie, because everybody that I know watches the series in a day or like, a day or two. And it's almost like just watching a long movie at that point. And I've seen other things that have gotten attention through media, like at least one of the things, because I'm interested in it, it's come up on my page. It's like Outer Banks will come up, and I've seen a lot of that. Oh, they actually, did you know they are filming in Charleston and not in Outer Banks and whatever. And I'm like, okay. And these random things will come up on my pages, and I'm pretty sure it's because it's like Facebook listens to you or whatever, and it's like, oh, you were interested in X, Y, and Z, and so now X, Y, and Z is like the top three things on your page.
Our digital
Um,
overlords are always listening.
they are literally. I've heard people admit it. They're just like, yeah, I used to work for Facebook, and they listen to you, and I'm like, awesome. That's yep, great.
Yep.
It's super fucking funny to me. I don't know.
Well,
Um,
I feel like series have that, depending on the series, because I know like Netflix, something like that, they usually drop a whole series in one go. But something like Disney Plus and theirs, it's weekly based. And they got more than that 15
huh.
day or whatever, because it's a full week and then another full week.
So it's becoming more like cable TV.
Yeah. Which Disney Plus,
It's the reason that you paid to not watch that anymore. And I know
Yeah.
Hulu has ads, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I paid to specifically not to have ads. But I guess that's how they partly make their money. YouTube does the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's like I could have just paid for my regular cable services. You probably like at one day or another, it will become the same price as cable or higher or whatever. I don't know. I don't pay for any of my services. All my friends have them, and I just can I have your Hulu? Thank you. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I was curious with that question because I feel like the series get a lot of attention. I was just curious if you guys thought more attention than movies to streaming services, or if this like the movie got more like social media attention. Because like I feel like I've seen more series get longer attention or more attention for longer than movies have. That go straight to streaming.
Yeah, I think the same way that series do have a longer lifespan than films do on the social media platform. Because generally they are talked about for a little more time, I would say, depending on how long the series is and how popular it is or it is towards the audience that they're going for.
Mhm. And I just thought of another thing since we were talking about this in social media, and we mentioned Twitch streamers before. I know recently they've gotten in trouble for watching series on Twitch. Some of them have been banned for it, but like that is another thing. People watch other people watch series on streaming services.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. They do that on TikTok all the time. Like I see picture people on like they have like the little TikTok live or whatever, and you can watch it there. Some people will literally just record it and post TikToks about a show. But I definitely do agree with what you're saying. Like I think that the series get more attention because with each season that comes out, they're gonna talk about it again. So it just keeps getting brought up. But the thing with that is that I think that films are a little bit more, I guess my style are more important to me because you have more time to perfect something like smaller. So you've 2 hours approximately to do your film. Whereas with a series, you get 20 minutes per episode or 40, whatever some people do. But I feel like with series, I think they're more rushed. And with films, you take the time to like look at every single detail.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that one could be personal preference in a way, because certain series I feel like overall is longer, but each episode has its own problem, its own arc,
Right.
along with the overarching for the entire series. I don't know. I guess it's just personal preference. I was just
I guess
curious.
what I'm saying is that it feels more demanding. Like they want what's the next episode? When's the next season? What's coming out? Like people are just so antsy to get it that I feel like you rush your work rather than like with a movie, like okay, you put the trailers out, but you put the trailers out after you're done filming.
I don't know. I feel like that could be in for movies as well, right? Because like you see Spider-Man No Way Home. Everyone's like, okay, I've seen it, I loved it. When's the next one? Then they
Right.
realize they gotta wait 4 years before the next one or something like
But when you
that.
think about it, Marvel it's a series in its own.
That is true.
That is very true.
Marvel and Disney is its own giant itself.
Right.
They play by their own rules. We just march under their own mouse overlord.
We just give them all of our money anyways, even if they don't deserve it.
We all work for Disney, don't lie.
That'd be pretty cool to work for Disney. I would love to make like a Disney film one day, or like an animated film of some sort.
Animated films are really good too. Man, there's so many good films.
Most definitely.
That's a depressing thought for just anybody. Like your film library or like watch list or whatever for like series or films are probably gonna outlive you because it's so big and it never stops growing. Oh.
I never thought of it that way.
Did I just
Um, that's a depressing thought.
It is, isn't it?
Like one day you could just not know how a series ends.
That would be the most annoying thing ever. I would be so annoyed. Like it's one more episode away. Nope. No. Oh, that'd be so annoying. Oh, I'd be irritated just thinking about it already. Be the worst thing though is if you didn't get to actually watch it and someone spoiled it on social media.
I've actually had that happen to me. It was like with one of the series. I think it might have been Good Girls. I was watching that for a little while, and something one of the characters said, because everybody's obsessed with Rio, and his character, and he said something that like spoiled the whole show for me, and I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? Does that really happen?" And then I ended up watching it, and I guessed the rest of the show, and I was like, "Oh, so this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen because they said that happened," and I was like, "Wow," and then they ended up canceling the show anyways, which is really sad because I loved it, but yeah.
That's something social media does too, is that nothing is spoiler free. Like within minutes of the movie coming out, there's those people who got to see the premiere a little bit sooner have already posted it all to social media. So you gotta be really careful. Unless you don't
Right.
care to be spoiled.
It's funny because there was a long time ago, I used to watch How I Met Your Mother, and there was like this one episode where uh Ted goes in, they all miss the Super Bowl, and Ted goes in to get food, and he wears like these crazy like glasses, and he has like headphones on so he can't see or hear anything except for what he's looking at. He has like two holes cut out in the eye so he can see what he's paying for and leave so he can grab his food and get out of there. And it's like that's how it feels like have a new movie come out. Like you don't even want to go on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, whatever, because you're just like, if I find out how this movie ends, I'm gonna be pissed. Like I remember when I was scrolling through Twitter or Facebook when the new Spider-Man movie came out, and everybody was like, I haven't seen Spider-Man, don't say a word. And everybody was talking about not talking about Spider-Man. And I was like, what? But just don't go on social media. Can you not stand not going on social media for a day until you watch the movie?
Yeah. Social media is weird. That was gonna be my follow-up question. Did you guys have any movies that you didn't want you to be spoiled for that social
Oh,
media spoiled it for?
all the Marvel movies ever. And then, the next day somebody's posting the end credits.
Yep, and they always put it in like the thumbnail right away, or like for YouTube videos, it's always in the thumbnail, so you can't
For
like.
you page.
Yep.
Right there.
Endgame
That's
had
pretty
it
awful.
spoiled for me. Literally a couple hours before I was gonna go watch it.
Oh, that's really unlucky, honestly.
I was scrolling through just YouTube, and I happened to scroll past something on the homepage, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh,
So
no.
when Endgame first came out, my sister worked in a movie theater, and she actually worked at the Alamo before I did. And she ended up securing us tickets like the day of like the premiere, that it was coming out like the Thursday night before it really initially releases Friday. And I was like, this is awesome, this is perfect. And I ended up watching it that night, and I was like, thank God, because if somebody spoiled this for me, I would have been pissed.
Yeah. Social media has its ups and downs.
But that just goes to show like it has a huge influence on films.
we wanted to talk about a current one since social media seems to be such a big part of this episode, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like
For talk actors and stuff like that, the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial going on right now.
Oh,
That might
I
date this
heard
podcast in the future, but yeah.
Amber Heard is now Amber Turd on my social pages.
Oh,
And I think that's hilarious. Yeah, no, I mean this literally came to Virginia. I was in Fairfax County when it was going on, and apparently a bunch of like other celebrities came. I haven't watched all of it because it's just so long. I've just seen bits and pieces, but yeah, this was definitely circulating around in my socials. And it talked a lot
everywhere.
about how everybody hates Amber, how everybody wants her off of the Aquaman set and all that. And I was like, honestly, yeah, kick her out.
Yeah, that's just kick her out. Yeah, but it also shows the power of social media in a way. The
Oh
fact
my
that
God, yeah, for sure.
they could probably get it done with not even just the court case, but with just the public outcry.
I mean, speaking of recent events, look at all the social media like that just happened with the Oscars and the whole Will Smith slap. Like
That is true
it's
too.
the same thing. It's just everything.
yeah.
But I personally think that they did that for ratings because the Oscars have slowly been going to nobody watch. I didn't even watch them. I'm a film major and I didn't even watch the Oscars. Like, come on. I
Yep.
mean,
I
nobody
don't know.
watches the Oscars anymore. And I feel like it was like a big thing to get more people to watch it. But honestly, though, I don't think after the what 40 years Will Smith's been doing acting and stuff like that, that this one little thing should be getting to everybody because I feel like it wasn't that big of a deal.
I mean,
Yeah.
weren't they friends too? So
Yeah,
Yeah, I think his
I think
wife
so.
and Chris were friends.
yeah.
Um, I do think it was funny though. There was some uh what was it? Chris Rock was in Madagascar and
You've seen that?
Oh, you I've seen that too.
where and Fishtails and the animated version of them slapped each other. I thought
Yeah.
that was hilarious. I was cracking up.
I saw someone post something. They're like, man, the internet can be so divided on everything. But when something meme worthy happens within an hour, there will be so many memes about that one thing.
Yeah,
Before the day ended, the internet was flooded with just memes of that. And I'm still seeing some to this day. It's been like a month though.
right. I mean, with that whole Oscar thing, like I literally saw that on my social media for like maybe 3 days straight. And I was like, I threw my phone. I was like, I don't want to look at this anymore. I'm done. I'm done with it.
I got the story. I don't care anymore. Moving on.
Seriously, people drag stuff out so long sometimes, and it's like, okay, the joke's over. Let's move on.
Another sad thing about social media though is that everyone's got to get their clicks.
Right.
It's a job to some people, so they all got to get their
It
say in
is
there if they
though.
get their
That's
video.
insane to me. Like I've seen people, there's literally like a little app that you can go online now and you can figure out how much each TikTok creator makes. And I'm like, how do you make 2 grand off of one TikTok video? Excuse me?
Yeah, I don't.
Wild.
I'm not a social media person.
Oh, I just scroll on TikTok for way too long, for way too many hours.
Yep.
But it literally has so much influence in the film industry though, because like every single time I'm on there, I see something brought up about like new film jobs or um like people literally do like acting auditions on there. Um and like
Yeah.
they'll lip sing or whatever. But I mean they like create their own stories. They talk about like all different types of things. There's this one girl on there that's literally like our age. She's like a college student. She was an engineer and now she's going into film production because she's just like, I love TikTok so much. It's like completely changed my life. I want to do film now. And I'm like, what the hell? Like that was completely an engineer to a filmmaker, completely backwards. But I mean, good for her. I think it's amazing. But I think it's just so funny how much like social media can just like flip your world upside down and change everything.
Yeah, and those skits on social media are honestly some of my favorite things to watch.
Oh, for sure.
Well,
Yeah, me
one,
too.
the creativity that goes into it, and two, as a film major, I get to slightly critique it and not feel bad about it because it's not professional. But at the same time, I'm like, they did a really good job. I'm so proud of them.
Well, I also think that one day that they're either gonna get sued or something for like there's gonna be some altercation with the whole putting like Netflix shows on there because I know with YouTube now that if you try to like or if you're like, I know I've watched Netflix on my phone, if you do that and you try to like record, it will just be a black screen. Like they've
Yeah,
made it so that you can't record it.
yeah, the copyright laws and stuff like that are serious, and it's really starting to crack down onto it now. Like I said, mentioned Twitch. They're starting to crack down on the Twitch streamers for watching like series on their Twitch stream.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're probably gonna do that eventually. Somebody's gonna get sued.
Which I mean is not a bad thing per se. I don't know. It's kind of iffy because like at the same time people watch that content a lot, but it's also not theirs to make profit off of.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, one could argue that anything that they put on their Twitch or TikTok or whatever, YouTube even, to record, that any logo or whatever is either sponsored or it's gonna get, hey, why are you putting X, Y, and Z into your film, your podcast, whatever. And it's like that's the same thing. Like I know I was out filming with some students today even, and they were like, oh yeah, you can put your computer, like we need a computer for this shot or whatever. And I was like, okay, we get to make sure to cover their logo. And they looked at me and I was like, what? And they were like, oh yeah, you know, you have to, I guess that's true. They were like completely, because it's just a student film, so they were just like a little bit shocked, I guess. And it was like, yeah, no, you have to cover your logos, you have to cover all of your crap so that nobody can get like sued over it or whatever, the stupid copyright laws and whatnot. And it's just those little things that are honestly kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's good practice though. I know I've tried to do some of it for some of my student films, and I've especially done this semester since we're back in person and everything and working in groups. I know like bags of chips or whatever that we use, and I was like, hey guys, make sure we flip it over if we're not seeing the logo or anything. But then other times, like logos and clothing, I always seem to forget about for some reason. I don't know why. But like bag of chips, I'm like, nope, flip it over. Can't have that being seen.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's funny too, because like you even have to think about like it's true, the logos and everything on clothes. I don't even think about it. I'll show up and I'm repping some band tee and I'm like, oh, they probably don't want this in the film, but it's gonna be in the film.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that like one day some super annoying, just like petty person is gonna start, oh, you took a picture and on your Instagram there's a picture of you wearing, whoever's band, like that's not okay. And you're gonna be like, okay, get off my page now. Thanks.
Oh, I'm sure it's happening nowadays all the time.
Right. I can't
So-
believe you would put this on the same page as, my child's following you.
Yeah, social media has given everyone a platform to talk on, even
Oh,
if
for sure.
sometimes people just don't want them to talk.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is they can always find like-minded people on social media. So it's to be safe on social media, future students. But also don't be afraid to go on there, because since I've started the film program, I've been on social media more and following more film stuff and watching more film videos and skits and stuff like that. And it's
funny
nice.
that you say that, because I've been trying to get away from social media, but it seems like half of my job now is gonna be social media. And I'm like, I literally deleted 8 of my accounts. I'm trying to get away from this. And here we are circling back to how much I actually need social media in the film industry to better success, to make a more successful platform for films and my future businesses.
Yep, got
And
a
I'm
network.
like, okay, that's so awesome. I just tried so hard to get rid of everything I ever put out on the internet, and now everybody's saying, why? Put it back out there. And I'm like, great, that's, oh God.
Yeah. It's a crazy world.
It feels like for some people, it's either escape or it's a prison. And to me, it felt like a prison, and I left that prison and now I gotta go back.
Well, maybe this time you won't go back as a prisoner, but as like a guard or something. You never know.
As a guard.
Since we're sticking with that analogy.
Yeah. Anyways, moving right along here. Um, was there anything anybody God, I really can't talk today. Is there anything anybody would like to specifically bring up?
I mean, the new talent that has been introduced throughout the social media, say for example, TikTok
Mhm.
or of course Twitch or YouTube. Um, More actors have been made or created through these experiences on TikTok or YouTube, Twitch, etc. They could be even extras or main cast. Like say for example, Morty Critical, he was extra on Hunger Games. I mean, though that's not a notable role, but they do take part in these type of things, and it shows that if you're out there, you're able to even get secure a position as an actor.
Yeah, and that's something to put on your resume. It just was
Hmm.
in Hunger Games. Even if you weren't a main character, you were part of the production, and that can reflect on you.
Yeah.
Especially if the movie did really well. Like you may have had a small part, but you were part of it. You were part of the success.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. Yeah, thank you, Jalen.
All good.
So I guess we can go ahead and move on to
Well, I could ask another
yep.
question if we want another question to be asked.
Okay, that'd be good. My brain just shut off for a
Okay.
second.
Here's a question for you all. Where do you think just digital media is going to take film for now in the future? Because I
I
have an
think
idea, but I want to hear your guys' idea.
I think it will take it into a good direction. As more productions are using more CGI, and they're perfecting it in a sense to make it to have a sense of realism. It's taking it in the direction where things can be more real than it has been. Say for example, in the Mandalorian, the series, from Disney Plus, of course. They used, of course, like they used a monitor screen when they were filming to make the scenes that they filmed for the series feel more real instead of them having like a green screen or like certain props and such, and in order to make that background.
Yeah, I've seen the Mandalorian. I definitely think that that helped a lot. It really made the series come to life.
Mhm.
They I was a nerd and watched the actual like breakdown of it. They also have in Disney Plus like how it was made or whatever. And
Yeah.
they talked about that stuff, and I was like, man, that's really interesting and cool. Like they're not using green screens anymore. They're using like a U of just actual screens to like bring it to life.
Yeah, I also watched that too, but like I think it's interesting that like instead of using like of course as you said, like instead of using green screens, they're using those monitors, like those huge monitors to uh basically replicate that scenery. They're using I forgot the program, uh the one where you work with 3D modeling. But
I could not tell you.
yeah, I totally forgot what the program was called. I don't know why it was in my head and I forgot it. But basically, they created the thing from scratch, online using a bunch of computers or even graphics cards, and made it more real in a sense instead of like using a blue screen or a green screen.
Yeah, CGI has advanced so far in what, just 20 years, really.
Mhm.
I-
So so I don't mean to cut you off there.
No, no, go ahead.
So with all this like digital media and like the editing programs, I feel like um people are gonna start losing jobs with like uh more so in like the acting department because I feel like a lot of things are gonna take course in more of an animation because I know that like a lot of animes are getting more popular and like they have specific like streaming services just for animes now. Um like Crunchyroll or the Funimation or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
Um and now I kind of feel like they don't really need as many people to make those because you have your artists and then you have your voice actors and that's pretty much it. You don't really need a whole lot of other people. Like you could essentially make it almost a 2 or 3 person job. You don't need as big as a team as you do for like the cinematography, the director, the editor, the entire cast and crew, all the actors, the extras that you're gonna need. You don't need to have like an entire film set. You just have to have a pen and paper. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot less likely it's a lot less likely that people will need um extra people to make a film work.
Uh, I slightly agree, but slightly disagree at the same time, right? So specifically for animation, you still need the cinematographer and stuff like that for the specific shots you want to build. Just because you can draw it doesn't mean you want to draw from you want to make sure you're drawing the angle and the story you want to tell. So I guess they can kind of go hand in hand. But yeah,
I'm
I
not
see
saying
your
you
point that like
don't need them, but more so is like you could get away with not having them.
oh yeah, for sure. But at the same time, you could also get away with that in live action with just a 4-person group. Everyone kind of just shares a role.
That would be
And
chaotic.
I mean, we're doing it in group projects right now. No one really
Oh
has
yeah, I
a
know for sure.
directed role. Everyone's just kind of doing whatever, suggesting. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think live action is going to go anywhere. Yes, animation has gotten more popular, but I don't think live action is going to go anywhere. Personally, they're
Uh,
each going to have their niches.
yeah, I can definitely see your point that live action isn't going anywhere because obviously you want to see how the person or the actors, the favorite actors, are going to play that role in certain situations, like in realistic environments. But also, I want to mention a film called Turning Red. It did have a lot of facial reactions, and through like popular or not popular demand, but through I know my YouTube has blown up, but a lot of reviews around that film, they said that it really just almost ruins 2D animation because of the facial expressions that they have, making the 3D animation feel real in a
Yeah,
sense.
I heard about that film, but I never saw it. But yeah, I can see what you're saying because I have seen some of like there's like little memes about it and people, and I guess if I'm remembering correctly, that was the one that like pissed off a bunch of parents.
Mm.
I don't know if that's true or not. I don't remember exactly what it's about, but um there was a huge like social media thing about that film and how people were like super pissed off about it. Um and I kind of didn't know why, but I know it's like I've seen like the facial expressions that they make and some of like the images that have come up on my feed.
Mm.
so I'm looking at like the IMDb page of Turning Red, right?
Hmm.
Um, and while it still has a lot of stuff, it is missing some things. Like I see there's director of photography, um, but um, it has more focused on the artist side. It looks to be more divided into each artist has their own section, right? Because animation takes a long time. So I feel like even though some jobs were lost since it's animation, others were given their chance to shine because it's let's have this person only focus on lighting for animation or drawing and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think either are going. I think they're both going to find their niches. Um, for the differences between 3D and 2D animation, 3D has definitely become more popular, but I think 2D will come back. It's that whole nostalgia thing. Everyone's like, I want to see a 2D animated movie because that's how it was in my childhood. So it'll have its niche. Everything does. Everything has its cult following. No matter
Yeah,
how bad a movie or how hated it is, someone likes it somewhere.
I've just always learned more and more that people are just giant children. Everybody just wants, seriously though, everybody, especially in the film industry too, like I've noticed a lot of people that are just like, you know what? I remember this movie. I want this one remade. This is from my childhood. I get that all the time. This is from my childhood. Okay, great. Grow up. Like, what do you
I
want me to
think
Mhm.
that
tell you?
I think that's more the world than just the film industry.
Right.
Yeah, everyone has their cult following, and everyone's gonna argue. Social media, like I said, is giving everyone a place to speak.
It has. It definitely has voiced some opinions for sure.
One thing I always try to remember is that I may not agree with them, but they have their opinions, and I might not agree with them, but sometimes it's nice to see the other side.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, for sure.
As long as you don't take it to in my face yelling at me, I'll listen to you. But the moment you start yelling at me and shoving it in my face is when I start having a problem personally. I'm like, okay, we're
The
done.
screaming match in Marriage Story. I always see that on my page all the time. People still to this day make like little memes about it. It's so funny. Okay,
Prequel
I
fans
think
versus sequel fans and like Star Wars. That's just the first meme that popped into my head because I've seen that.
um so I think we're getting close to the end of our time here. So let's try to wrap it up with some editors. One of the editors that I found to be like pretty intriguing was Thema Shoemaker. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. But she has edited multiple movies for Martin Scorsese. I'm pretty sure she's like one of his main editors. Um, and she's pretty amazing. She's pretty cool. She did like The Departed. I don't know if there's a Netflix original that Scorsese directed. What's it called? The Irishman. She edited that as well. She's been editing for quite some time. She has 3 Oscars that she's won. She's pretty cool. She won best achievement in film editing for The Irishman. She won an Oscar for that in 2020. She's pretty amazing. Yeah, if there's anybody else any other editors you guys would like to speak about.
So mine isn't necessarily an editor, but Edgar Wright, who was a director, but he's pretty hands-on with the editing. He has a distinct style. So he does movies like Baby Driver.
I've seen that. It's like,
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. But he also did Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, a lot of movies starring oh no, what is his name? Simon Pegg, right? And he is definitely an auteur. I think I said that right. He's an auteur director. So he has a noticeable style, and while he might not actually hands-on direct it or edit it, you can definitely see his style in the editing. So he's enjoyable to watch if anybody wants to give him a look at. His movies are enjoyable.
I would say an editor I personally like is William Hoy in his work with Batman Begins personally. I just enjoyed the way that the scenes were cut and impacted the vision that he wanted that the director wanted to create and being able to show that on screen.
Yeah, editors definitely, I think, are important. As a want to be a future editor here, and even though they have to follow the director's vision, I think you always get to see those little twists and turns. And like, have you ever seen the movie The Kingsmen?
I haven't.
So
I
there's
have.
these. You have?
Yeah, I have.
I love the fight scenes,
Yeah.
especially in the first one. There's some long takes, some hidden edits, which are one of my favorite things to see because they're so hard to spot. Specifically, usually in like whip pans or whatever, there's always a cut to a different shot, and not too many people notice it because their screen's in motion and they hide it really well. So that movie does it really well. The fight scenes or action scenes are edited really well, and I really enjoy those.
Yeah, I agree with that fully, honestly.
Yay! I haven't seen the newest two, but my favorite was still the first one.
um, I've only seen the second one after that, but I haven't really seen the rest. I think it was one more. Was it one more or was it two more?
I think there was a total of 3 with like Eggsy or whatever his name is,
Yeah,
and then there was a prequel that just came out recently because I
yeah.
was
I
working
haven't
at
seen those
AMC for
two.
that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I loved those editing scenes. And like again, the director gets final say or whatever, but it's the editor who puts it together and does the hard work, and those are just some of my favorite scenes to watch.
Sure.
Cool.
All right. Well,
Do we have anything else? Do we want to wrap it up?
I think, I don't know, do you have like the time?
I think it's been like almost an hour.
It's been over an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool. All right, yeah, so we can go ahead and wrap it up then. Just do like a little exit. So thank you guys for listening. Again, my name is Jackie.
My name is Jalen.
My name's Dylan. Thank you all for coming to, if not mistaken, the final episode of our podcast, guys.
Yeah, final episode of Video Kill the Podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Round of applause to all previous hosts and co-hosts for all the previous episodes. I think we all did really good with this.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You can go ahead and stop recording.
Stopping the recording.